Hello everyone, this is CJ Novo 992 and today we're back with another brand new video. Today's our video. It is my honour and my joy to be able to sit here and tell you that the international break is finally over. Go ahead and give yourselves a round of applause, people, because not only is it over, it's gone until March. Oh, I'm going to get emotional. Now, composing myself for just a very, very brief moment, as it has been 2 weeks since the last reminder. As always, in case you enjoy the channel and you enjoy the content and you want to help us out, please consider hitting that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. It's free, doesn't cost you a penny, and we need all the help we can get to hopefully one day reach 55k. And while some of you hopefully are helping us out on that journey, I'll transition into the old oppositional preview and have a look and discuss tomorrow's opposition in Aberdeen. And coming into this game versus Rangers, Aberdeen are actually on a 6-match undefeated streak in the old league. Within that run, by the way, is a free draw versus Celtic, and in their most recent game in the old league, they played Hibs in the old battle for third spot, and honestly, they couldn't have played that game any better. They sat back, allowed Hibs to dominate and play the pretty stuff with the old football, while Aberdeen sat there, concentrated on counter-attacks and focused on set pieces, and every single time Hibs overcommitted with the ball, Aberdeen then sprung into life and offered something going forward. It was honestly a bit of a clinic from Aberdeen. 2 shots, 2 goals, and I think if you look at that game versus Hibs and you look at that draw versus Celtic, they 2 games right there tells you everything you need to know about this Aberdeen side, because believe it or not, they are slightly different than the one we all know. Now, of course, you've still got the full-blooded, no-nonsense, dangerous from set-piece Aberdeen that we all come to expect from playing them 55 times a season. But now, especially this season, they do actually have some technical players in there that does give them different options within a game of football, because where in the past it was always just a long ball to Cosgrove or a long ball to Curtis Main, that's how they go up the park. Now they actually have a couple of players that can get the football doing and either drive with it on their own, beat a man and get their team forward, or they can spring a couple of passes together and get the team up that way. Now, am I sitting here saying that this squad is a 2008 Tiki Taka Kings Barca squad? Obviously not, but it does need to be said that they aren't just all headers and elbows anymore. They can actually hurt you on the ground now as well. And I think that personnel change with a couple of players within their starting 11 has allowed them now to abandon that old, rigid, long ball formation to a much more expansive 3-4-2-1, which has worked absolute wonders versus Hibs. And not only did it have success versus Celtic, but if you go ahead and check how Aberdeen have been doing since they started picking up wins, it's with the 3-4-2-1 or the 3-4-1-2, and this expansive formation does allow the creative players to be creative whilst also allowing the bruising hammer floor players to do what they do as well. It's a very interesting mix that Aberdeen have right now. Again, I'm not sitting here saying they're going to play all pretty stuff, because they've still got the hammer floors, but they have opened the door for a couple of creative players, and the balance is very, very interesting. However, it does need to be mentioned that that interesting mixture of a squad has took a massive hit coming into this game versus Rangers, as they are missing a key ingredient in which helps make it all run, in my opinion. Now, in case you don't know where I'm going with this one, I'm of course talking about Ross McCrory, who is on loan from us before making it a permanent in the summer, but he can't play against us tomorrow, and that right there is massive, because his importance to this Aberdeen side can't be understated. And if they are going to stick with the 3-4-2-1 without Ross McCrory's defensive awareness and his covering ability in there, I think that could leave a couple gaps that didn't exist in the games versus Hibs and versus Celtic. But where they've lost one key player in Ross McCrory, they've actually gained another one that's apparently sharper and chomping at the bit to go, and that is Sam Cosgrove. Now, Sam Cosgrove has been back for the last couple of Aberdeen games, but during the international break is apparently ready to go now, and you'll see the best of the big man. And that right there I find very, very interesting, because if you cast your minds back to the last time these two teams met, all the talk was the striker crisis at both football clubs. I mean, on the Rangers side of things, you had Jermaine Defoe injured, you had Kimberry not re-signed, and you had Alfredo Morelos not even knowing if he was going to be involved in the game because apparently he was off, so there was questions there. And on the Aberdeen side you had no Cosgrove and you had no Curtis Main, and there was a couple of excuses being spat out and being like, oh, if we had this guy or if we had a striker on the park it could have been different. Well, all that talk is going to get answered tomorrow, people, because I think it's fair to say now both teams striking wise have all the ammunition they could have ever asked for if you go back to the first time that they actually met. So there's a bit of a conversation to have there, and it's going to be interesting to see what set of strikers come out on top. And with that being said, that's a sort of done and dusted with the old Aberdeen preview. Listen, we all know going into this game, the Mora, this is absolutely massive. It is going to be difficult, and the argument could genuinely be made right now is coming back from the international break, this is the hardest game that we could have got because this is one of the informed teams in the league right now. So I do understand it from that way, but I look at that as more of a positive rather than a negative, because all season long we have answered critics, we have answered tough challenges, and the Mora is another tough one, but that is what is needed if you want to go ahead and win things. So instead of worrying or stressing, I'm actually relishing the Mora as it's another opportunity to go ahead and conquer another challenge. And that right there actually leads me perfectly into the Rangers side of today's video, because we just talked about how good Aberdeen was, how much of a tough test this is going to be from Aberdeen, how dangerous they are with the football, etc, etc. But I honestly believe in my heart they will only be as good as we allow them to be, the Mora. And again, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to Aberdeen, they are a good footballing side. I'm actually just being respectful to this Rangers side who have been absolutely excellent all season long. And I just think if we can come out there, the Mora, from the first whistle to have the same intensity, the same hunger, the same ruthlessness to go out there and win the 11 versus 11 battle like we had before the international break, I can honestly only see us coming out there and getting the most important job done, and that's of course getting all 3 points. Now, I wasn't really going to speak about the next topic again because everyone knows where I stand with Jordan Jones and George Edmondson, but as it was a major talking point in this week's press conference and Steven Gerrard had his say on the matter, which is obviously a lot more important and relevant than what I have to say, is I thought we'd actually break it down and discuss it, because it looks as if we finally have our answer on what's to happen with Jordan Jones and George Edmondson. Now, you've probably heard already, but both players were suspended for 7 games for breaking COVID protocols, and Gerrard actually said is after the isolation period, when he was able to sit down and talk to the players individually, he saw exactly what he wanted to see. He got the reaction that he wanted. Both players were devastated, both players were sad on the matter, and both players were very hungry and obviously want to make up to not only the fans, the staff, but also to their teammates as well. So surprisingly, Gerrard kind of left the door open for both George Edmondson and Jordan Jones to be back amongst the squad once their suspension is over. Now again, maybe this is just a wee bit of lip service, because as we're coming up to the January transfer window, you're not wanting to go ahead and basically say, nah, these 2 players are never playing again, because all teams are going to do in January is go, here's 10 pence, I'll take both. But in my opinion, I don't know, Gerrard seemed genuine with his answers there, and we know how highly he rates George Edmondson, so the door's been left open for both players. What's your thoughts? Now, where the potential return of Edmondson and Jones to the squad is a surprise, something that wasn't a surprise is actually the team news, especially when you look at the old fitness updates for our players. When you have a check on how many players were actually called up for the international duty, it is going to be very, very nervy, very nippy bum time to see who's actually fit and able to play ahead of this game versus Aberdeen. But before anyone freaks out and worries, thankfully what we've been given so far ahead of the game versus Aberdeen is the fact that the majority of the players are fine for tomorrow. The only little worry, the only little doubt for the game is Zungu, who has a little issue with his knee, but yet he's still not officially ruled out, so fingers crossed we can see the man who was skilling and thrilling be involved versus Aberdeen. The only players officially ruled out of the game tomorrow is Katic, is obviously the long-term injury, and Jones and Edmonds, who of course start their 7-game suspension now as well. But that's it, people, and fingers crossed that remains until tomorrow. But with everything being said, that is the oppositional preview, that is my thoughts on the game, and that is the latest team news and the press conference recap. Now, all that's left is for me and thee to dive down there in the comment section below and share our prediction on. So while you guys are hopefully getting involved down there in the comments, I will give you mine very, very briefly. I'm expecting a battle here, ladies and gentlemen, especially after international break. Both teams will just go full kilter. So I'm going to go with a feisty, hard-fought game, but I do think Rangers will come ahead and win. Rangers 2, Aberdeen 0. That's right, I know some people may be going higher, but I just think a wee cheeky 2-0 may just be on the cards. My goal scorers are pretty damn simple. I think Morelos will get a goal in this game. It's written in the stars for the laddie. And I think Tavernier will continue his tremendous form as well, with how handsy they are in and around the box. Dare I say, Rangers penalty? Voila. And now that me and thee have had their say on the game, all that's left today now is wrap it up. But before I go ahead and do that, I just want to thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching today's video. Hopefully you've got through the international break without too much great hairs. But the football is back, people. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow and discussing the actual game. But take care of yourselves, everyone. All the best, and bye-bye.